Hey guys, and welcome to Rough Gear Review. Today we're having a look at the Tac-Con 3MR trigger system. I'm sure you've heard about this. You've probably seen a bunch of videos on YouTube already. It's been making its rounds for quite a while. We just got our hands on it recently. And first time we had seen it was out at SHOT Show in January 2014. I had heard about it prior to being out at SHOT Show. We were out there at Media Day at the range. I got to try it out on the range, fired a few magazines through it. And I really didn't know what to expect when I showed up. I had seen a video already, I had heard about it, and it looks like the guy in the video is just shooting full auto. It looks great. When I got on the range, I used a couple of magazines, and I really couldn't get it. I wasn't shooting much faster than I shoot with my regular AR. We then asked the rep there to show us, and he really could shoot fast. A lot faster than you probably could have with just your standard AR. And I'm sure we have a little clip here where we show you guys that from SHOT Show. After we left show, I realized this is something I got to get my hands on. We got to try this out. Have all the guys here use it and see really if it's as awesome as you might think from watching those videos. Unfortunately, as you guys, most of you know, we're based here in California and no one stocked it. So unfortunately, a lot of the information that Californians get about a product being legal or illegal is through a certain gun forum, a major gun forum here in California. Now, unfortunately, there is a lot of misinformation on that forum. There are some people on there that are very knowledgeable. They really do know what they're talking about. But there are more people on that forum that have no idea what they're talking about. It's just their interpretation of California law, and most of the time they're wrong. But they are so adamant that they're correct. And they spew out so much information that you're going to go to jail for even having something like this. It's a felony. You tend to almost believe them. But unfortunately, it's just really not true. Now, I spoke with the California Department of Justice about the Tac-Con trigger. And they told me it was perfectly legal. It is a semi-automatic trigger. It does not increase the rate of fire. It is not a trigger activating device. And what everybody's talking about on these forums, and I'll read you the penal code. I can't memorize this stuff, so I'm going to read it for you. It says, a manual or power-driven trigger-activating device constructed and designed so that when attached to a semi-auto firearm, it increases the rate of fire of that firearm. Now, I think there's some confusion with this Tac-Con trigger. There's another product out there called the Tac-Trigger. And even if you go to this forum, the very first page is called a sticky. I'm not really sure. I don't know a lot about forum lingo, but I'm assuming a sticky is something that's always there on the front page, because this thing is always there. But it says, bump fire stocks and, in quotations, Tac-Trigger illegal in California. Now, the Tac-Trigger is not the Tac-Con trigger system. The Tac-Trigger is a device that attaches to your trigger and it increases the rate of fire. That is illegal in California. You might not be familiar with it. If you go on YouTube or look it up, you'll see some videos on it. It attaches to pretty much any firearm. The Tac-Con trigger is totally different, but I think there's some confusion there, because even when you go on to that forum post and you scroll down, the person who's posting all that has a link and it says to go, discuss the Tac-Trigger, and when you click on that link, it isn't the Tac-Trigger. They're talking about the Tac-Con trigger. And I think that might be some confusion there, because the Tac-Trigger and the Tac-Con trigger are two totally separate things. The Tac-Trigger is illegal, the Tac-Con trigger is not. And that is when I spoke to the DOJ. Now, I encourage you to do research for yourself. Don't listen to what anyone else is telling you. Don't go on forums and get your legal advice from them. You can email the California Department of Justice, ask them a question, and in about 4 weeks, they're going to call you back and they're going to answer your question. And I assure you they'll do this. I have put probably 15 inquiries to them, and they call me back and answer my questions every single time. And they're going to do the same for you. Now then, when I went on that post where they're talking about the Tac-Con trigger, it's a whole post about it. And everybody's saying, oh, it's illegal. You can't have it. It's a trigger activating device, which it is not. And what I realized were all these people, everyone posting, had never even touched the Tac-Con trigger. They've never fired it. They probably never even had the trigger pack in their hand. All they're doing is seeing a video and then coming to the conclusion that it's illegal. And I don't blame them, to tell you the truth. When I went to SHOT Show and I fired it for the first time, when I was waiting in line, all I'd ever seen were videos of it. And I really had no idea how it worked. I kind of really did think that you just pulled the trigger and it was going to shoot almost full auto. I thought maybe it was kind of a bump fire system. I really didn't know. Not until I had it in my hands and I fired it and I realized it really just is a semi-auto trigger. So do the research for yourself. Don't rely on a forum to give you legal advice. There's a lot of misinformation, and most of those guys are just some other guy sitting in front of their computer writing on a forum. And if you probably met them in person, you probably wouldn't listen to anything they were saying. So do the research for yourself. Now, since that's all out of the way, let's go ahead and have a look at the Tac-Con trigger. This is actually the gun that we used in the video. I know it looks different, but when we got the gun back, I broke it down. We had put a lot of rounds through this, all rapid fire all day long. And I mean, you'll see in the pictures right here, the gun was pretty worked, but it's a Colt, so it was going to hold up to the abuse. I wasn't worried about it. But I ended up taking it apart, and when I went to put it back together again, I just happened to build it like this instead. It's just one of the benefits of having a whole bunch of AR parts lying around. But this is in fact the same rifle that we used out there testing out the trigger. And you can see in the video, man, one of the guys, KD, he's a competition shooter, and right off the bat he picked it up. He could really manipulate that trigger. His trigger finger was fast. And he was telling me that part of that was because in competitions, his finger is kind of trained to feel when that reset is. And then he pulls again. Now mine isn't. I kind of let it go a little further, and that's why my rate of fire is slower. But KD could just feel it right off the bat. Jay was also starting to get it really well towards midday, and you know, he's also done some competition shooting too. I don't do any competition shooting, so maybe that's why my finger wasn't as quick as theirs. And that's the real reason that he could fire so fast with this trigger pack in here. And that's because this has a third mode. Now it has 3 modes, and that's another thing that I think freaks everybody out. They think automatically you go to third mode and, ooh, that's taboo. It's not. The first mode is, of course, safe. The second mode is your standard semi-auto, but it's a match trigger at 4.5 pounds. Now you go back to third mode, and what that is, it's a positive reset, and it's a very, very short reset on this. And that's how KD was able to fire so fast. It's because his finger, it's kind of, you know, trained to know when that reset hits, and he pulls again immediately. That's why he can fire fast in competition shooting. So with this, because the reset is so short, he could just go to town with it. So if you're going to pick this trigger pack up, you're going to have to practice. If you're a competition shooter, you're probably going to pick it up right off the bat. If you're just a regular shooter like me, you're probably going to take a little time to keep practicing and practicing and practicing. So everybody else that's not in California, you're in luck. You don't have to worry about any of this stuff going on here. And for the rest of you, this is great. This is an ATF approved part. It is a non-NFA part. You'll see the letter right here. It's going to ship with each one of these. And you know, it's actually really easy. Everybody's worried about a cop coming up and thinking it's full auto. All you got to do is hand them the rifle. Say, there you go, man. Put it in third mode and pull the trigger. Because you pull the trigger once and it fires once. And that's it. It is all up to you and your finger to make this gun shoot fast. It doesn't shoot full auto. You pull the trigger back, it's one trigger pull, one shot. That is it, and that's the bottom line. So, I thought it was great. I've had a blast with it so far, and we're looking forward to going back out again real soon. The price tag is a bit steep. It runs about $500, but to tell you the truth, if you can't afford the trigger, you probably can't afford the ammunition you're going to burn through with this thing. Because first of all, it's fun. And that's really what the sport's all about. It's about having some fun. You know, you go out, you have a fun day shooting with your friends, but when you take this out, you are going to dump magazines. And it is such a blast that you won't stop. I had a really fun day out there. I think everybody did. We just went nonstop all day long shooting. And we did burn through a lot of ammo. That was a rather expensive day for us here, but it was well worth it. It was a lot of fun. So, check it out. If you're in California, you know, it's up to you. I'm not afraid of it. You know, it's not a trigger activating device. Like I said, that's the trigger activating device. And if they cut this off, I'll be really upset. But, you know, for everybody else, check it out, man. The only way to really, really understand this system is to demo it and try it. And, you know, unfortunately, I have no idea how you're going to do that. Hope maybe, you know, a whole group of you get together. One of you guys buy one of them. You all go out and, you know, try it. I'm telling you guys are going to fall in love with it. I had a blast. So that was our quick look at the Tac-Con trigger. We're going to do a few more videos here in the very near future every time we take this out and shoot it. We're also going to drop this into a AR-10 platform and see how that works. So we'll keep doing these every month or so and keep you guys updated. And we'll see if I get any better at shooting this thing. I certainly hope I do. If you guys have any questions or comments, please go ahead and leave them down below. I try to answer everything I can. California people, try to be kind. I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of flack for what I said. And thanks a lot for watching Rough Gear Review, guys.